Boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Mindful Investor Show. So good to have you here. Steve, don't we have a show for...
Man, we got a good one. So on this show, we have Kara and Brittany. These girls are Instagram wonders. Kara's out of Phoenix. She's got over 40,000 followers on Instagram. Brittany is in Saskatoon, Canada. And she has 85,000 something followers on Instagram.
But they're both real estate investors.
They're flippers.
Right?
Yeah, they're in the heat of battle.
They're not out there. You know, they're actual investors.
And so in this episode, what you're going to learn is basically, number one, how they use social media to basically get all of their deals. All of their business comes because of social media, number one. Number two, you're also going to learn how they get sponsored by suppliers to give them supplies because of their dominance in the social media arena.
So when you flip in your house, you know, your tile could be free because you just mentioned who the tile is by.
Exactly. And these girls do an amazing job. You're going to learn basically not only how they do it now, but kind of how they got started. And, you know, Kara gets other business, not just flipping, but design project business because of her reputation. So it just goes to show how powerful social media is and how strongly they feel that social media has been a major player in their success story.
This show is unique and their passion is fantastic. Let's get into the show.
All right, guys, so we are here at Bigger Pockets, and, you know, one of the reasons you come to these conferences and these events is you get to meet like-minded people, you get to hang out with them, you get to talk to them, and so we couldn't have two better people to talk to now that are just known out there in the industry as our good friends, Brittany and Kara.
And the theme, if I may add, the theme of the conversation is going to be like one of the things I've heard from Kara. She said, all my clients came from social media, and that antenna goes up. Like, what's up? How is that possible? And so we're going to explore that. We're going to dig in and unpack some of the stuff. But by the way, Kara, to my left, 43,000 Instagram followers. I don't know how that's even possible. 10 homes she renovated herself. She does a lot of work for the clients as well. And every client came from social, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. Britt is right in front of me, to the right of Steve, those of you watching on video. But smart and very articulate. But 83,000 followers on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And 13 rental properties. Britt, that's amazing. So today we're going to talk about like how to use social media, how to leverage social in rental properties business. So you guys maybe give us a little bit of like, how'd you get into it? Like, what was the moment where you said, okay, social works? Like, how do you even come to that?
And I think just also maybe where they're operating out of, because they're in completely different markets.
Right.
And that's important to know
Different
as well.
countries.
Different countries, yes. Yeah. So, well, tell them kind of a little bit about you and where you're from, where you operate, and how you got into this.
So I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona, which is a great market right now.
Sure.
And I started real estate investing in 2016. I was 28 years old. And when I went into real estate investing, I knew nothing about real estate. So everything has been self-taught. And that was also before I found the Bigger Pockets. So that would have been helpful back then.
Yeah.
And that's when I started my Instagram Beckmann house. And I started it just to kind of have a place where I can keep my memories. Okay. So when I started early on, it was my way to, okay, I bought my first investment property. And so it's really fun to see that progression. And then I started featuring more of the before and afters. And it started off slow. The growth was very slow. And on my third investment property, I hired subcontractors to teach me how to do a lot of the work because I thought, this is what I want to do full time, and I don't want to jump into this full time not knowing construction. And so by hiring those subcontractors, they taught me how to wire can lights, properly demo walls, rip up baseboards, rip up tile. And so I was starting to feature more of that on my Instagram, and that's when it really started to grow. I think people like seeing, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. And that really is the message that I want to relay, that anyone can do this, and I think it's fantastic, and there's a lot of different ways to invest in real estate. And then I would feature more before and afters and more extreme before and afters, and then it would grow, and people would feature my posts, which would in turn grow both accounts, and that is really how it started to grow immensely when people were sharing mine and more interaction too. I noticed the more I interact with my followers, the better it is for everybody.
Right.
How long did it take, Kara? Sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
how long did it take? I'm just super curious. How long did it take when you felt it crested? Like it was the point where somebody actually started sharing.
Like
your
a
stuff.
tipping point. You got to a tipping point where it
I
started
was
going.
probably in my 5th property.
Okay.
So
Wow,
probably
so it took a while.
it did. It was a very slow growth.
Well,
at
2016.
first, and then-
That's only 3 years though. So
That's only 3 years?
yeah.
That's
I mean,
a lifetime.
Well.
These girls are like in their 18s. I mean,
Yeah. True.
so
So
that was pretty awesome. Do you mind if we just shift
Yep,
to Britt and
yep.
get like what is your
Yeah.
kind of how did you get started?
and where?
Yeah,
And where?
so I'm in the middle of nowhere in Canada, right in the middle in the prairies. So I'm not actually from that city originally, but there's cheap properties there. And I bought my first property in Saskatchewan when I was 18 years old. So that was kind of like how I got my start. But my mom owned rental properties, so I would help her do DIY renovation stuff as well. That's where I get this mentality from. So I'm like DIY everything, right? So it actually took me a while after I bought that first property to kind of really get all in on real estate. I didn't even realize like people were doing it full time as a job. So like I found bigger pockets and stuff like that, and I'm like, wow, this is a whole new world, right?
Yeah.
So then once I started like investing full time, that's when I started posting a lot on Instagram and stuff like that. But I would tag, because I look up to Brandon and whoever, so I'd tag them and post and like get attention that way.
Are you
right?
guys listening? That's a tip. Like
Yeah.
that's a pro
That's a
tip
tip.
right there.
That's a tip
That's
right
a pro
there.
tip.
And
Okay,
it-
go on, please. Yeah.
And I try my best to add value to people, right?
Sure.
Like I don't want to just be constantly
Something
taking.
bad, right?
I just want to like be able to like give back. So I'd be like, hey, like I read Brandon's book, like it's so awesome, and I'll do that
Yeah.
for Steve and
Yeah.
my friends as well, just to like give some value back to them. So
Mm-hmm.
by promotions or whatever. So instead of just tagging them, being annoying, asking questions, I'm like tagging them like, hey everyone, like you should read Brandon's book, you should listen to this podcast episode, and I'm able to talk to like people I never thought I'd have conversations with, and like look at where we are now.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like so insane who you
Amazing.
can meet over social.
So what is your crest? Like where did you feel that moment? It's like 5 properties for you, Kara. Like how would
I
you
guess
measure it?
with mine, it would have actually been around 5 as well. But it was weird because the
Interesting.
same thing. Yeah, because it was really slow. And once I started really getting big on Instagram.
And did you
was-
intentionally start to post stuff with that plan or no?
No, not at all.
So
No.
you were just kind of like Kara, you were just posting to post?
Yeah, exactly. But my friend, one of my really good friends, actually started making money through Instagram. And I was like, oh, this could be another stream of income, right?
Sure.
So that was in the back of my head too. Like I had a few different ideas, but I never would have imagined what it is now.
Right.
But like back in the day, I was thinking about, because I love to travel as well. So I always wanted something that I could do online as a business where I could make money like wherever I am in the world.
Right.
So that was kind of another thought I had, but then it went like really just to investing.
So is
and
it happening
I love
now?
it.
The people who are listening, is it happening now? Are you making money while traveling?
Yeah, I mean,
That's awesome.
yeah, and lots of product sponsors too. So like a lot of companies will sponsor, just give me free
Is that
product.
common? Like, do you get that as
Yeah.
well? Really?
Yeah. So we'll partner with companies. I do a lot of tile partnerships,
Uh-huh.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just like you're having fun. You're doing
Yeah.
what you
You're
love
doing
to
what
do.
you love to do, and
then
they're
getting
supplying.
paid. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now I noticed you guys do different types of videos though. So
Very
you
different.
do like the I don't know if you'd call it a time lapse type
Yeah,
video,
time-lapse, yeah.
and you do more of like showing the product. Is there one versus the other? Like is it
I think so. A time lapse is nice because you can show a lot more of the process
Right.
much quicker.
Right.
So if Brittany's demoing or laying a whole floor of tile,
Yeah.
she can
Yeah.
show that whole process where I have to kind of, this is what I'm doing now, this is the before, these are a few steps, this is after.
Yeah.
Got
So it's
it.
just different.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun to do a few of those different, to do some
Yeah.
maybe slow-mo. I like slow-mos when I'm punching walls or something.
exactly.
And then time lapse is great for longer videos, and then it's nice just to have, okay, here's a before, here's an after.
okay?
So constantly changing.
So Kara, you've learned construction management, you said, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
like very interesting. Like that perked my ears because not a lot of people want to get into it, and
And so does she.
it's-
She
it's a-
she
yeah,
does
it's
the
a-
demos and everything too.
You do that
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
So I guess that's one like a takeaway for the listeners. Like you have to like not only learn it but love it, right? Like I see your
Right.
passion.
You have to
coming
live
out.
it. You have to
Like,
live it.
oh, I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
this amazing tile sponsorships. Like to
Yeah.
me, I'm like,
Yeah.
she's got tile sponsorships. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But hey, like that's a passion. So I guess takeaway number 1: learn it and then be passionate about. What's some other takeaways? Like, what
Yeah.
have you seen been successful in that social media real estate play. Which, by the way, I'll just set it up. Like Property Brothers, there's some shows on TV.
Yeah.
People do it. But to me, they're like not real. It's very hard to connect with real. You guys are real, right?
You guys are actually doing. I mean, they're doing the work. The other ones, you know, it's virtual TV, but there's some staging. I mean, I'm sure there's
reality too. Yeah.
Or reality. I'm sorry, but you know, there's probably some staging going on and some
That's
time.
what I'm thinking. It's very hard to believe what's on TV is
Right,
real, right?
right. But when they're doing it, I mean, it's videos of them actually doing the work. So. Let me ask you this: have you seen? And I know it's an ever-changing industry.
Yeah.
How have you seen it change as far as what you did before? I'm guessing wouldn't work. What you maybe did in 2016 probably would not work today. Is that a safe statement?
Yeah.
As far as investing?
No,
or
I'm
social
sorry. As
media?
far as on social media, gaining
Posts
traction and
and-
doing what
yeah.
you're doing, like how do you stay up on
Yeah.
that? Because if not, you become irrelevant and you get kind of pushed aside, right?
Well, I really think it's just being consistent.
Yeah.
What I did back in 2016, I'm still doing that.
Same
You
stuff.
know? Yeah, the same stuff. I'm just
Yeah.
doing more of it and more
Yeah.
consistent.
Got
More
it. Okay.
consistently.
And
Yeah.
getting them to know you and let them into your life. Like people
Right.
want
Personal.
to see that. They want to
Right.
get to know you. So I think that's important too.
Here's a question I have: percentage split between female and male followers. What would you say yours is?
I know mine are 75% female,
Really?
25% male.
Mine's opposite, completely opposite.
Really?
That is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
interesting. Like,
Well, Canada. I mean, what's there, right? I mean,
it's just interesting stats. So
Yeah, that's funny.
those are listening out there. Like it really varies depending on your content. Okay, so next question. We have Dan, our director here. Like he's talented. He's setting up this whole routine,
Yeah.
pictures. Like we don't have to learn about it and do it. How did you like this photography and video? Like you learn that stuff?
she was showing me her phone of all the things the phone did last night, and I was thinking like, wow, like how would you even learn this?
All right, so let's
Yeah,
work
it's
through
a
that.
lot.
Like what are some of the apps you're using? Give some.
I don't use photo apps, so I use my iPhone.
Yeah.
All of my pictures, before I hired professional photographers to capture my homes, they're all done on my iPhone.
Really?
You have
All of them?
iPhone editing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Wow.
enhance the brightness maybe,
Yeah.
play with the contrast a little bit, but that's it.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. And it's funny because sometimes I'll notice that pictures that look like they were homemade or on my iPhone versus a professional get more likes.
Yeah.
And I think it relates back to I can do that. It's more
It's within their grasp. They're like,
Right.
I can do what she's doing. It's
Right.
not impossible. I don't
Exactly.
she doesn't have this huge budget and a film crew following her around.
Right.
It's just her.
exactly.
Got it.
So
Got
have
it.
you thought about, and Britt, before we come back to your strategy on this, have you thought about elevating the game? Like now that you sort of gaining momentum, like what are your thoughts on like next stage?
I'm always thinking about my next
Okay.
stage. So through Instagram, I've also met another investor who's in the Phoenix Scottsdale market, and he does a lot in the commercial side, and that is really where I want to end up going. And so we've been talking a lot through Instagram and also talking about partnering on a deal, whether that be commercial or whether we partner and he funds a flip.
Okay.
And that would give me more capital.
But that's still venturing into a different avenue of the business, not necessarily changing, sort of upgrading. I guess
Right.
your presentation. How do you say it? Your upgrading your
Content?
content? Yes.
Oh.
Like, have you thought about actually upgrading? So you said iPhone things work, but like, have you thought about like getting more professional stuff done?
Not yet.
Okay.
Because it's working.
It's working, right. And a
Yeah.
lot of people, once they start to grow, they have someone manage their social media accounts. And right now, I love managing my social media accounts. And I think it's important for me to do that because I see what my followers are wanting. They're messaging me, oh, I want to see this. Can you talk about this? What are your exterior paint color go-tos? Or what is this? And that gives me more content. Oh, this
Right.
is what people want to learn. Or
Yeah.
the other day I was walking through a house and I walked through the reasons I didn't end up investing. And
Oh.
the amount of messages I got, thank you so much for saying the reasons you didn't invest.
Sure. Yeah, because people, I've always learned that when you're, especially when you're on social media, people want to know, like, everyone always hears the successes.
Right.
They want to hear the reasons you don't do something or the mistakes or, the top landlord failures or what
Yeah.
could get you sued. Because nobody ever talks about that stuff. They always talk about the fame and made this much money on a flip and I did this. As opposed to, this was a horrible situation. I can't believe this happened to me and I lost X dollars or whatever the case may be. And I think a lot of people like that. I mean, they like the fact that you're able to go in and say like, hey, this is good or bad, and this is why I didn't move forward in
Right.
it. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a
Britt,
question.
hold on a second. I want to give Britt a bit of a stage to discuss that because it's kind of interesting. Like we are in content production. Like
Yeah.
it's very like professionally interesting to me. Like
Yeah.
how do you think about quality? Because Dan is obsessed with quality. Like he
Yeah.
won't let Steve and I be too creative
No.
without him overseeing. And then that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah,
Thank you. We
exactly.
need
Good
some.
job, Dan.
We need discipline. Britt, how do you do it?
Yeah, well, I was gonna go back to the apps thing because
Yeah.
I do have a few like video editing apps and stuff.
Okay.
I use.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah, so for photos, I use Snapseed. So like Cara was saying, like we want to.
Kara.
Shoot.
It's the Canadian. It's the Canadian.
It's a Canadian accent,
Yeah.
you guys. I
Yeah.
know her name. We've been friends forever. I'm sorry. So Snapseed
Snapshoot?
and
The seed.
Yeah, Snapseed. So I really like that one, and like you said with the brightness, it's really important to increase your brightness because when people are walking around, maybe they're outside or something, like you really want your photo to stand out. So I think that's important. With video, I like, so there's a few if you have an iPhone, like iMovie, Clips, and then my favorite is called Splice. But I had it for free, and someone told me recently they started charging, so I don't know. Shoot, because it's so good. It's a really awesome app.
What's with
So-
people not paying? Sorry, just
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a intersection here, but paid
Going off on a
$8 for an
tangent.
app, like $8 for an app, like somehow we have a problem with that.
Yeah.
We'll dump, like we'll get a venti in,
Yeah.
in Starbucks for 14. That's
I
okay.
know.
Anyway, go ahead, please.
So true. So those are really good, and yeah, time lapse on my iPhone, and that's all I've used.
Time lapse. Yeah.
So
So
I-
just on the actual camera.
On what you guys have done, like, how do you think it's? I mean, we know it's helped you, right? You
Yeah.
guys have said it's opened up a lot of doors, but could you specifically say, like, you know, this is because I met these people, or I'm afforded this ability or
Yeah.
deals?
Yeah.
Because, like, how would you guys relate that to actually going, this is why I'm doing so much on social media? Because at some point, you may go,
It's
like, some people
a
that.
full-time job.
Yeah, some people go, like, man, I don't have the time to do it.
Yeah,
but
you
you're saying
don't.
you don't have time not to do it because
Yeah.
this is actually
Right.
It's
what's
so
getting
hard
you
to
Make
business.
time to do it every
Yeah.
day.
So how much time would you say you guys allocate for social
That's a
media?
good question.
I
That is a
do
good
about
question.
2.5 hours a day.
2.5 hours a day?
Yeah.
And you?
Yeah, I would say like mine for my videos and stuff to edit, it takes a lot of time. But I would probably say even maybe 3 hours a day.
Okay, so now you
Yeah.
guys are on one channel on Instagram more than
Mm-hmm.
Facebook or anything else. Is there a reason you guys picked that channel? I mean,
I think Instagram's like the popular
it's
app
a
now.
popular one. Is that?
Yeah, I just get so many more comments and interactions through
I
Instagram.
believe you get like access and you get things like swipe up for this
Yeah,
that we
oh,
don't
okay.
have
Yeah.
access to those things.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to have
And-
10,000
10,000
followers for the
followers.
swipe up.
10,000. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're
How do you
9,900.
know about it?
You're not because I was talking to her about it. I'm interested. I'm trying to learn.
Oh, I get it. So, can we do a little bit of a coaching here, like this coaching session?
Yeah,
Huh?
go ahead. How about it? Uh-oh.
So you use 2.5 hours a day, Kara. You use 3 hours a day, but I think it's a lot of it is video editing as well. Like, what is your unique ability? Both of you, I want to hear from each of you, please. What is your unique ability, and what's the next thing you're going to outsource?
Who goes first?
What are you going to
My
hire for?
unique-
What are you going to keep?
So for me, like I'm really passionate about renovations. Like I'll do that all day and forever until I'm dead. Like that's always what I've done until I'm dead.
I'm not
I
sure
went
that's
extreme. Okay,
This
but
took a
this is
turn.
what I mean. But I just love being creative and hands-on. Like I've always just thought I would love to retire and like do woodworking or metalworking or stuff like that. Like that's what I love to do because it's my creative outlet. Like it's fun for me. It's relaxing. So like that's like what I'm passionate about it, and that's I think how I grew my account because I love this stuff and people can see that.
the passion.
So like that, but then when it comes to like paperwork and property management and things like that, like
Oh, we know a property
that-
manager.
I know.
Yeah,
Do
we
you?
know.
Do you?
Yes.
In Canada?
Not in
Oh.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I know.
Saskatoon.
Anybody?
Whatever.
You guys should come over.
Yeah, I'm bad at it,
I
but
know.
yes.
Yeah.
Over there, we don't have it.
And I'm gonna
That's too
after you can let Kara answer, and then I've got a couple. I've got some
Yeah.
investing questions
Hold up.
for them.
Yeah, hold.
Yeah.
That's actually very, very good because
Yeah.
we want to sort of
Tie it
give
in
our
with
listeners,
investing.
give our
Yeah.
listeners a
Yeah.
little idea. These girls have amazing portfolios as well as Instagram stuff. So, Kara, what are you gonna outsource next?
So I've been working a lot with Steve on this because I do so much of it. I do a lot. You know, I'm managing my own, well, not managing, but managing the construction aspect of a lot of my jobs, the design work as well. And that I enjoy being at my job sites. I like what's going on. I like the interactions with the contractors, making sure we're on budget. That's very important to me, and they know how tight I am on that. And so I would probably outsource accounting. And I actually enjoy doing spreadsheets, and that's why I take it on myself, because I like it. But it's not the best use of my time. So designing is a better use of my time than working on my spreadsheets. And I need to outsource that and possibly bring in someone who's more full-time for the client aspect as well.
The client experience.
Can you hold your questions for another follow-up question?
Sure.
I have to have this one.
Do you have a choice?
I don't think there's enough women doing this. Like we all know that, right?
Believe it or not, though, on Instagram there are a lot
and it's
of women.
amazing, and it's happening. But you guys leading the way, right? So you're spearheading this. How do you manage? Like, tell the women that are listening. How do you manage like highly male-dominated trades? Contractor, you said that's one of your favorite things to do. Like, I imagine you come in, you're blonde. I mean, are they taking you seriously? And if they don't, how do you make them take you seriously?
You don't take any BS. And you have to set that precedence right away. Because as soon as they start to pull one on you, I told my contractor, don't pull that on me. Because I caught him in something, and he said, I'm so sorry. Didn't happen again. But you have to set the precedence. You are the boss. Things will go accordingly,
right?
Or you'll call
set the
them out on it.
expectations.
You have to set your expectations,
yeah.
Right off the bat, and that does come with some experience. When I wasn't experienced, and you don't know what you don't know,
sure.
And that is exactly why on my third property I hired subcontractors to teach me how to do things, because now I can say that's
wrong, or that's not right,
or
or
you're charging me too much, or you're taking too long, because I know now. And also, the more you work with that contractor, my contractor tells me a lot. I really respect you. I have a lot of respect for you, and
because you're out there doing it and you know it. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
because you don't set unrealistic expectations, probably, but you also push them to be their best.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
Britt, you have another view on this?
Well, I think it is extremely intimidating for women in the industry, but I've always kind of grew up in trades and whatever, so I never really felt that. But I think even through Instagram too is a really cool way to gain the credibility.
Yeah.
Because people see and they want their company, if you're hiring a plumber or whoever contractor, they want you to give them some shout outs or whatever on your Instagram. So you have this level of credibility now.
So you have a little
So you're
candy.
helping you're helping them, yeah.
It's so true. So I found that to be really helpful.
That is a good tip.
For some
So
respect.
very good tip.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into the investing job that you guys do, right? Getting into this.
By the way, I do appreciate your patience.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
As soon as you got
I
the word
appreciate the
in.
appreciation. All right, so Kara, you had a job and you quit your job, right?
Right.
And so it wasn't in real estate at all.
No.
Right. So how do you think differently today than you did? So there's other women out there that are going, man, I would love to do what she does, but I just can't. And they have all the reasons why. But you did it. You took that step, you cut the rope, and you jumped to this new thing. And there was, I'm sure, a lot of fears.
There were. It took months before I finally said, okay, I'm taking a huge leap of faith.
Right.
And that is what it was. It was really trusting God and saying, okay, I'm going to do this, and here we go.
So,
but
what advice, and for you too, Britt, what advice would you give for, let's say, women that are out there working that say, man, I would love to do what these girls are doing, but I just can't do it. They have all the reasons in the world, which a lot of times those are just made up in our heads. But what would you tell them that they need to do, and how would they execute that plan? Talking to you 3 years ago.
Well, I'm actually really thankful that I started investing while I was working a full-time job.
Okay.
For multiple reasons. I was having that full-time income. I was able to qualify for loans, which helped me purchase the home.
Sure.
My backstory: my degree is in patisserie and baking, and so I wanted to have a bakery. And for years, I've been saving money to eventually open up a bakery.
Vegetarian bakery.
A vegan bakery.
A vegan bakery. Very important.
Yeah, I wanted to do wedding cakes. And that was when the economy started to go down. And then, long story short, I ended up in retail. So I'm working in retail. I needed a creative outlet. And I thought, I'm going to take this money that I've been saving for years and years, put 20% down, because it was an investor loan, so you
Right.
have to have your
Yep.
20%. And then I got a mortgage on the property, and then I funded the rehab with the money I was making from my full-time job.
Got it.
So I did this a few times. So I got the hang of it while I'm still working. So it's a lot less fearful when you have a steady
Sure.
paycheck coming in. You know, you can pay your contractors,
Yep.
you know, you can purchase supplies and everything. And so I think that helps to build the confidence rather than quitting your job, jumping into it. Now you're going to have to fund it fully cash, get hard money. It's a higher risk.
Right. And
So-
it's a high risk. I would say it's a higher risk when you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
When you know what you're doing, it's low risk.
Yeah.
But it's
Right.
what's interesting is it's the same risk. You're
Yeah.
doing the same thing. It's just your knowledge is actually what's taking it from high risk to low risk.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you may look at this and go, I would do this. Like when you look at a deal, same as you look at a deal and you go, yep, I would do this, 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 and this. Where if you're someone new, you'd be like, wow, I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll
Right.
just keep my 9 to 5,
Yeah.
you know, and that kind of thing. Now, for you, Britt, like, now you're obviously, you came from the industry, with, like you said,
Yeah.
your mom and everything.
Yeah.
But what, like for you, what were some mental blocks that you had to get over and to do what you're doing? Because now you go and live at the property sometimes,
Yeah,
right?
all the time.
All the time.
I
Well, now
mean,
you've got
yeah.
the bus,
Now I
right?
have the bus.
You follow her on Instagram. She has a school bus now.
gotta
She's
do
living
it.
in.
I'm
Yeah.
not even on Instagram.
Is it considered a school bus? Is that
Yeah, it's a school bus.
Yeah, but it's a
Short bus.
converted
Yeah.
short bus. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
short school bus.
Yes. But yeah, so she goes and actually lives at the properties that she's doing the rehabs on.
Yeah.
So I mean, talk about being into this, right?
Commitment, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, wow, that struck me. Like, we should have a better pre-show briefing. I had no idea.
So,
That's
but,
an interesting point.
yeah. So, like, what what would you tell women that want to get, especially
Yeah.
they want to get into this, maybe not even go into a career, and they want to start doing this? What would you guys give them advice wise?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like obviously you want to be educated enough so you don't make a bad choice. Like you want to make sure the property is going to make you money in the end. That's so important. But I also always thought like, what's the worst case scenario? Because in my market, like I've been buying really cheap properties, so under like $25,000 around. Like
Canadian?
Yeah.
Canadian dollars?
Yeah, so like nothing for you guys. Come on over.
So it's like $3.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so like for me, like the risk didn't really feel like anything because
Right.
I was like, all right, like I know this property is gonna make money because like after renovation it rents for around $900.
Wow.
So
Yeah. So the numbers make
Like
sense.
The
Detroit
numbers
back
just
in the
make
day
sense.
had
Yeah,
that
the
kind
numbers-
of.
and you're totally
return.
redoing the house, so you're
Yeah.
giving someone a brand new house.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I felt like yeah, the risk.
The
didn't
risk
feel-
factor was
yeah.
low.
And for me, it's like worst case scenario. Like I have to go get another job if this doesn't work out. Like
Right,
it felt
right.
fine to me. But
Now the price points where you are
yeah,
are
so it's
different.
Definitely
It's a little
higher.
different.
Yeah.
So
Way
you're
different.
taking off a bigger. You're getting a
Yeah.
hard money loan or something. It's a bigger. You're taking a bigger bite there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
a couple $100,000.
So there's a limit.
higher.
I mean, at some
Yeah.
point, especially when you're new, there's a limit. You gain trust with the hard money lenders and stuff. But initially, till you get that track record with them, there's a limit on the amount of funds that you can borrow.
Right, right.
So that's a factor.
That's true. And maybe if, as a first timer, it's not a bad idea to partner with someone.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know,
I
take a
agree.
lower percentage of the deal just to get the knowledge.
Yes.
Because that lower percentage is going to be worth so much more.
Oh yeah, totally.
So,
yeah.
Now let me
Sure.
ask you guys this: so you guys doing the what you're doing right now, this is a strategy, right? This isn't a goal. Like your guys are going to a destination, right? What do you guys think is your end destination in real estate? Like you guys are in real estate. You're not going anywhere. You guys are going to ride this wave. Is it rehabbing and flipping? Is this it, or is this leading to something else?
Well, I think we're kind of on the same path with this, but like I have all single families and duplexes right now, but like I want to go bigger because it just makes more sense. Like right now I have kind of properties spread out all over, and I just want to kind of like get one building and like
In one
take
place.
control of that.
And
So-
you're looking at a commercial deal right now.
yeah. So
Right.
I have one pretty much under contract. We're just working out some seller financing details, but yeah, it's 22 units and 7 commercial spots on the bottom, and it's a cool. It used to be an old bank. I love it. It's such a cool place, but it's like the brass like handles going up and the marble staircase and all the
Oh, that's
vaults,
amazing.
like all the old thing.
Oh, nice.
It's super cool.
But now
It's a
that's
cool
that's
place. So
that's a strategy.
Yeah.
What's the end goal?
the end goal. Oh,
Like what's like so you
Yeah.
guys are doing this and
Right.
like is it to say I want to have assets that are producing revenue for me, right? Is it
yeah.
I want to have
I see what
I want to have a company that's doing rehabbing and I'm just running the company, like
Yeah.
what is the end goal? Because the end goal is
Yeah.
money coming to you without you having to do
exactly.
it, right?
Yeah, I think that's definitely, like, the point where I can step away is really important because I love to be involved, but I also want to be able to, like, have my systems down and under control so I can be able to step away if I want to.
And what
Canadian
about,
winters are really cold, so
Yeah.
I want to get out.
go to
Arizona.
Phoenix.
I
Go to
know.
Phoenix. Yeah,
I'll
snowbirds.
come visit you.
So what about you, Kara? What's yours
I mean, I have a number for sure that I want to make per month.
per month?
So that's my goal for. I love the fix and flip strategy. I love it. But I am doing more burr investing. So rather than the
Can
property.
you explain burr?
Sure.
to
So
people?
you're gonna buy it. You're gonna buy it. You'll rehab it, rent it, refinance it, pull cash out, and then repeat the process.
Yep.
So I just successfully did my first burr deal.
Good.
So I was
Nice.
so excited because, and this is a good thing. I thought, I bought a property specifically to burr it. I didn't know. I don't have 2 years of tax returns because I'm still so new.
Right.
And so I didn't realize
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
2 years of tax returns, you
You
can't
can't.
do a refi.
Can't do a
Yeah.
refi.
So I went to 4 different lenders.
Yeah.
Finally, someone was going to lend on the refinance. So it's
That's great.
just got the check in the mail before I came. So
Oh,
that was
nice.
very good. It was a long
Congratulations.
process. Thank you. And so now I'm taking that money to finish the rehab on the one I currently purchased.
Okay.
And I purchased that in a wholesale deal.
Was that your first one that I saw online that you posted something about your first deal you did, or?
No, the one, no, this is recent.
Okay.
This is the one that I just purchased. I purchased that to flip, and now we're halfway through the renovation, and I think I'm gonna hold
Hold
it.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Or it
We got a
again.
holder.
Yeah.
Got a holder.
That's
We
awesome.
got a holder.
So you flip
Yeah.
10, but you have to make that little stack of cash so you can deploy it into the
Right.
rentals, right?
Right.
You've been renting them. Have you flipped
Yeah.
any?
No, haven't
So you
sold
keep
one
them.
yet.
She gets them and fixes them.
all burrs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, okay, so one final, I know you have a question that you wanted to ask, but let me ask you this. So what would you say in all of this is your weaknesses that you guys have been able to identify on your own that you could give advice for other people out there
Yeah.
watching to say, hey, this is my weaknesses and this is how I'm going to fix it.
Yeah.
So what would you say?
Oh man, I have a lot of weaknesses. Especially
Well-
talking to you, I'm like, oh. No, it's. I definitely think I'm the big picture thinker, and I didn't realize how important Instagram was going to be to my business. So
Right.
I'm really good at connecting with people and the big picture stuff.
Right.
But when it comes down to like the details, it's like, all right, how are we actually going to do this?
Make this happen.
Yeah, it's like it overwhelms me.
But
and
you
it's
do
a
that
lot.
with your houses though. But
Like,
I mean, you
yeah.
do that, you
Yeah,
know,
like
I mean.
with the rehab stuff, like that's fine, but it's like the paperwork and it's like the finances and like figuring that out and being like, all right.
So how
where
are
we
you
gonna
doing
go
it?
from-
How are you doing that now?
Well, we did hire an office manager.
Okay.
So that's been very helpful, and that was recent because I had such a hard time hiring.
Got
you know
it.
how it is. But we're looking more into like the VAs and stuff as well, which
Got
I
it.
have a part-time one helping with social a little bit. So like looking to get more into that, but yeah, I guess just like
So detail work in the details.
yeah.
Okay. What
Yeah.
about you, Kara?
I would say there's 2 main ones that come to mind. I like to have a lot of control over the whole process
I'm the
because it
same
is. I mean,
too.
you're building this
Yeah.
business and your name's on it, and so it is important that all the details are not being missed.
Mm-hmm.
And I do need to step back a little bit and bring some more people on and just have that faith that it will be okay
Yeah.
to bring people on. And then there's so many things that I want to do.
Right.
And I have to hone in on, get really good in this field
Yeah.
and then
Stay in
go
your
on.
vertical.
Right, right.
Got it.
Yeah, they call this, I think Gary Keller, his book, The Unique Ability.
The one thing.
The one thing,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm reading that now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like your
it's
unique
really good.
ability is like really, really important to discover and just focus on that. That's what my first question was, like, what would you outsource? But I think Steve took it full circle. You guys were
Yeah.
kind of not ready to answer that question, and
Yeah.
now I'm hearing you
There we
admitting
go.
to Steve, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna
Right.
do this. I promise you.
Well, I kind of know a little bit about what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Unfair
and
advantage.
yes.
It's all about unfair
It's an unfair.
advantage.
That's true.
Doesn't have to be fair. Just has to be an advantage.
So one last question. We gotta.
Yeah.
This has been a great interview, but let's give our listeners like this final nugget of wisdom and actionable advice.
Yeah.
Finding deals.
Finding deals.
Top 1-2 ways you find deals.
So I found deals mostly through MLS or Realtor.ca, whatever. I don't know what you guys. That's what I use. So I actually just look out of my city. So I'm not like stuck in one spot. Like I'm gonna look all over the place to find the best numbers where the numbers work. So I think that's really important. Like, you can travel to your deals. Like, I've driven.
Hence the bus.
Yeah, hence the bus. Exactly. But I think a lot of people get stuck in their specific city or their market,
Right.
and they're like, oh, well, I can't buy a house here. It's like $400,000, whatever.
Right.
Like, they have to start looking outside and find, even if it's even further out of state or something like that, like, find where it works, because
Right.
people just get overwhelmed and they don't do anything. So I
So
think,
go where the deals are. That's
go
your
where
advice?
the deals
Yeah.
are.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah,
Kara.
that's good.
Yeah.
It's so funny because mine is the exact opposite. So I
Nice. I love
Shocker.
There we
that.
go.
That's good.
So I hone in on my areas because I can run the numbers faster. I'm like, I know the zip code. I know what a good price per square foot is to enter in. I know what I can sell. I know what the ARV should be. I know what I can exit at price per square foot. And I'm constantly getting the highest price per square foot when I'm selling.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, like, my last 5 flips were in a 2-mile radius from
Really?
each other. Yeah. So I love these neighborhoods. And now my mom's my real estate agent, and I get 90% of my deals on the MLS.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always say, put in an offer. You never know.
You never know.
Exactly.
You don't know their situation.
Yeah.
It's so
Exactly.
true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You just never know. And I've gotten a lot. I've never lost money on a deal. So, and a lot of them have been on the MLS.
Yeah.
And the second way is wholesalers. So I get wholesalers that know I'm targeting these zip codes.
You're just hyper focused in that
Hyper-focused.
area that they know
Yeah.
this girl knows her stuff.
Yeah.
She knows her numbers.
Right.
Let's give it to her what she wants
Right.
and know. Yeah.
He'll text me. He'll say, I have a deal. You are the first investor to see this deal. Other investors are coming, in an hour. And so I walked it. I said, yeah, I'll take it.
Fantastic.
Nice.
They
What
know.
Oh,
And
okay.
I had my lender said, Kara, there's this great deal in Mesa, which is it's out of my zone.
It's out of your
And I
area.
said, those numbers might be fantastic, but the deal's not for me. I don't know that neighborhood. I don't know the buyer. It's just
Right.
I would rather wait to get a good deal, a solid deal, where I know those numbers really well.
Yeah.
Really, really good advice. Really
Absolutely.
good advice.
Yeah.
So I guess to sum this up is, hey, social works.
Oh yeah.
Be passionate. Learn the biz. Like, get in the construction. Like,
Yeah.
ask your I guess carpenter how the nails go in. Whatever the case is. I'm trying to be kind of.
I don't think that's what you do, but anyways.
That's a really good tip too. And going back to women who want to get started but don't know how, if you can't be involved in your renovations as much as you'd like, every time you go to the job sites, I'll do this with my client projects too. Every time I'm at their job site, I'll ask the contractor or the tradesman something that I didn't know before.
Oh.
So every time you're
So you
leaving
use it
that
as a
job
a learning lesson.
Yeah, it should
Makes
all be
sense.
a learning lesson. So every time you're walking away from that job site, you learn something.
Oh yeah.
And then that's
And then-
like less of a chance to get taken advantage of, because
Right.
people surely don't.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing.
And eventually,
A lot of the time,
eventually you're
it's
gonna
true.
you're gonna
They're
learn all the
judging
things.
us.
They're gonna be like,
Right.
okay, they know what
Yeah.
they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So
So if I list the takeaways here, just to sum this up, it's gonna take another episode. So maybe we'll do a comeback
A
episode.
recap.
Yeah.
And we wish you success with your commercial beginnings and with your buy and hold beginnings. And we'll come back maybe in a few months and check you guys out and see how you're doing.
Yeah, and obviously, how do they? I'm sure everybody knows how to find you, but how do they find you?
Yeah, good
so
point.
I'm at Investor Girl Brit on Instagram. My main.
Investor Girl Brit.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right.
And I'm at Beckmann House.
BEC.
BECKMANN.
Beckmann House.
House, yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Let's get back to the conference.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
We'll
you
see you guys.
so much.
Bye bye.